Arsenal have made a statement, beating Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. A goal from Gabriel was enough for Arteta's Gunners to pass another test, and even though it wasn't personal, it was a tactical masterclass. So from the excellence of William Saliba to Thomas Partey's world-class performance, let's break it down and discuss the 5 things we learnt from Chelsea 0, Arsenal 1. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Babs14. Welcome back to your boys channel, and sensational scenes at Stamford Bridge as it fell down to the Gunners. So my friends, if you enjoy the content, smash a like and subscribe if you are new. Road to 130k, my friends, let's make it happen. We're starting off with William Saliba pocketing Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. The return of the ex-Arsenal captain. He was back, he was blue, and it wasn't personal. But it wasn't Obama who or Obama what, it was Obama where, and that was in William Saliba's pockets. The ex-Arsenal captain subbed off in the 64th minute, straight after the Arsenal goal, and only had 8 touches all game. This, my friends, is the effect of William Saliba, who is so calm, so assured on the ball. He gives Arsenal the foundations in terms of the build-up phase, and no matter how much he's pressed, this guy is not fazed by it. But it's getting to the point now where this is now a standard Saliba performance. Given the Premier League official man of the match, let's have a look at them stats there with 72 touches, 13 times possession won, 3 clearances, 3 duels won, 3 interceptions, 2 tackles, 2 touches in the opposition box, 2 accurate long balls, 1 block, and 0 times dribbled past. Saliba by nature is a very calm centre back. He isn't too aggressive. He likes to sit back and mop up if balls are played in behind. But for him to be allowed to do that, he has to have the aggressor next to him in Gabriel Magalhaes. And sometimes I think Arsenal fans underrate the importance of Gabriel to this Arsenal team. But being that aggressive centre back gives balance to the Arsenal back too. And the best part about Gabriel is he's not just aggressive in the Arsenal box, he's also aggressive in the opposition box as well. Scoring from Bukayo Saka's corner. From the corner, he saw the situation building up, he took a risk, and he got the rewards. And from corners, Gabriel has now scored 9 goals since he joined in 2020 and 21. That is the highest out of any player in the Premier League, above the likes of Harry Kane. After the game, Gabriel has spoken on Twitter, saying nothing personal, London is red. Of course, referring to the Aubameyang quotes before the game. And listen, I've got nothing against Aubameyang, but in this game, I think you can see him straight away. The Arsenal centre-backs had this guy on ropes, and he's always going to be a massive goal threat. But you look at what Gabriel Jesus is. Outside the box, Jesus is 10 times the player of Aubameyang in terms of impact, and in this game, the likes of Gabriel and Saliba had, for me, a pretty simple game. Moving on to the second thing, Arteta outclasses Graham Potter. You see in these big games against the big 6 teams, the result is fantastic, they feel so much better, but it is also so important in terms of setting a narrative. And this season, out of the 4 big 6 teams that Arsenal have played, Man United, Tottenham, Liverpool and Chelsea, Arsenal have won 3 out of 4 and have now won 3 consecutive games against the Premier League Big 6 opposition for the first time since 2012. The only defeat was the game against Man United, and that game kind of set a narrative of Arsenal can't beat big teams, and then go to Stamford Bridge, a place where both Tottenham and Man United have both struggled, collect all 3 points, and even more importantly, put in a utterly dominant performance. As Arteta says, it's a big win against a top club, top manager and top class players, and we dominated it. And in terms of that domination, it is shown by the expected goals. Chelsea 0.24, the Arsenal 2.38. In reality, the 1-0 scoreline actually flattered Chelsea because Arsenal were by far the better team, and the further breakdown only confirms that. 14 shots, 56% of the ball, 379 completed passes, 66% of the field tilts, 57 final third entries, and a 2.1 expected threat created. And the field tilt shows. In the second half, it was all Arsenal, and they were able to sustain pressure against a top 6 team away from home. And by keeping so much of the ball and dominating so much, Arsenal had a fantastic defensive performance, restricting Chelsea to 5 shots and 0 big chances. In the second half, Chelsea created just 0.05 expected goals. In the first half, we were a bit wasteful and Jesus definitely should have scored. Martinelli was fantastic and likewise Bukayo Saka, but for me the main man was Gabriel Jesus. But I think Arsenal fans are now starting to realise that at this stage, Jesus lacks the confidence and in front of goal he's not being himself. But when you then look at his performance outside the box, the dribbling, the intensity, the duel winning, the hold up play, the flair, the skills, Jesus' profile in this Arsenal team is simply invaluable. He gives the Arsenal team a platform going forwards, that you know that every time Arsenal play the pass towards Jesus, he has the physique and the ability to hold the ball up and then bring into play the likes of Saka and Martinelli. But in the second half, after scoring a goal, we saw the mature side of this Arsenal team, and for me the key reason behind that was the return of Alexander Zinchenko. Looking into the Arsenal passing networks, look on the left hand side and that triangle formed of Gabriel, Partey, Zinchenko and Xhaka. Zinchenko is constantly moving into midfield, almost partnering Thomas Partey, and when you have that level of quality building out of the back, the ball progression was fantastic. More importantly, Arsenal had a far better control of the game. This game just shows the importance of Zinchenko. His level of ball security, it allows us to do what we do best, and that is keeping the ball in the opposition half. Where in the games against Leeds and Southampton we gave them chances. In this game, because Arsenal was so good at keeping the ball, Chelsea had no sniffs in the second half. What I love so much about Mikel Arteta's tactics was how automatic the team played. This is what can happen when you trust the process. From the pressing to the passing patterns, every single thing the Arsenal players were doing, it felt automatic, it felt natural. You then compare that to Chelsea, who are at the start of their process, and it was all a bit forced. Whereas in terms of Arteta's Arsenal, because they've worked under him for such a long time, these players now fully understand his tactics, and that is why Arsenal were able to go to Stamford Bridge and utterly dominate the game. And in terms of Mikel Arteta as Arsenal manager, he is undefeated in 4 games at Stamford Bridge, and Arsenal have now won their last 3 games there. 1-0, 4-2 and 1-0. But make sure to comment down below your thoughts on Mikel Arteta's tactics. Moving on to the third thing, a Thomas Partey monster class. You see, when you play as a number 6, especially in a system like Arsenal's, it requires a lot of responsibility and a top player, and that's where you get Thomas Partey. In this game he had 75 touches, 52 passes, a 93% passing accuracy, 6 out of 6 long balls, 2 out of 2 dribbles, 5 out of 6 ground balls won, 3 clearances, 2 interceptions, 2 tackles and obviously 1 clean sheet. Defensively, as expected coming from a Diego Simeone side, Partey is excellent, but it's the on-the-ball quality where he has been transformed under Mikel Arteta. Whereas in the past we've seen a more erratic version of Thomas Partey, and now in this season, with the way that Arteta has coached him, we are seeing that ball security of a top-level number 6, and this performance was utterly world-class. The calmness under pressure, the lovely one-touch passing, the decisive passes into the final third, finding Saka, Jesus and Martinelli in dangerous positions. Saliba may have got the official man of the match, but in my opinion, it was definitely Thomas Partey. And I think this tweet sums it all up. It doesn't matter who is on the pitch, when Thomas Partey is at his best, he'll control the game on and off the ball, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. If Arsenal are going to have any sort of title charge, the fitness and availability of Thomas Partey is going to be so important. And he also now gives Arsenal a massive battle to now go out there and find someone of the same level of Partey that they can sign in January and have that top level squad depth. But for Arsenal to find a Partey level player, that's going to be a tough ask. We also have to talk about the temperament of Granit Xhaka. In the second half, his performance was flawless. His passing was fantastic and likewise defensive game. But it's more the off the pitch stuff. There's a little scuffle towards the end. Kovacic and Xhaka both involved. Even a bit of Jorginho. But instead of Xhaka doing something very stupid, he gets involved only to an extent to waste more time and ruin the Chelsea momentum with the roaring Arsenal crowd behind him. The support was there and Xhaka understood that this time round he had matured and he was going to keep his head. Moving on to the fourth thing, and that is respect Ben White. It is about time as Arsenal fans that we start a conversation to put respect on the name of Benny Blanco Benjamin White. In this game it was an 80% passing accuracy, 69 touches, 5 out of 6 ground balls won, 4 clearances, 2 long balls completed, 1 key pass and 1 tackle won. This is a centre back playing at right back to an even higher level than most natural right backs. His forward game and his passing is ever improving, and likewise his ability to play as the inverted right back. But what I love so much about Ben White, and what I think is a bit underrated, is his clutch defensive ability to make blocks. We've seen it in the past and we saw it once again in this game. Ben White is not scared to put his body on the line. He is a proper defender's defender, and he will never get the headlines of Saliba or Partey or Saka or Martinelli. But the role of Ben White to provide Arsenal a defensive block, as well as a clever and reliable player in the build-up phase. There is a very good reason why a top player like Takahiro Tomiyasu was holding the Arsenal bench, and it looks like now going into the future, despite many Arsenal fans not expecting it, do you guys believe that Ben White can become the long-term Arsenal right back? Moving on to the fifth thing though, and that is confirmed title contenders. The mere mention of a title charge still has so many Arsenal fans still a bit cautious. But we are now 14 games into the season, but we are now in November, one game before the World Cup, and the one common denominator after every Arsenal game this season is Arsenal end it on top of the Premier League. And this week, after Man City beat Fulham 2-1 with a 95th minute Erling Haaland penalty, Arsenal have reclaimed their position on top of the Premier League. And this is where it gets just a little bit mental. We are now 8 points clear of Spurs with a game in hand, by the way, 11 points ahead of Man United, 13 ahead of Chelsea, and 15 points clear of Liverpool. I don't think some fans realise that the level of start that Arsenal have had to this season in terms of points per game at this stage, all of the other teams to do so have gone on to win the Premier League. And there's also been other stats which show that Arsenal actually have more points in this season than even the Invincibles had at this stage. It has been a truly magnificent start, and bit by bit and game by game, the haters and the doubters are starting to believe in Mikel Arteta. And after the game, Arteta says, "We are competing for the title today, but tomorrow is difficult. Just look at the last 6 years what Man City have done. For Arsenal to win the Premier League, we're going to have to get to 90 plus points. But to put it more simply, all we have to really do is sustain our current level of form. Of course, with the amount of games, the World Cup and injuries, it's a massive ask. But the scary part about this Arteta team is, we aren't even at our peak yet. The likes of Martinelli, Saka, Saliba, all under the age of 21. I truly believe in terms of our current first team, the team that played today, I think they can sustain a title charge. But I'm not quite sure about the squad. But that can all change, because if Arsenal can go into the January transfer window, invest the right money and sign the right players, then that could be the catalyst to help Arsenal push Man City and have a proper charge at the Premier League title. As ever, my friends, talk to me down below in the comments. What were your thoughts on the game? And most importantly, what were you able to learn? But that is the video there and there. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. Make sure to follow your boy on all of my social medias. The links are down below in the description. But that was the 5 things we learned from Chelsea 0, Arsenal 1. Stamford Bridge has fallen down and Arsenal have collected all 3 points. The title charge might just be happening. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves and in a bit.